Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. This is so exciting. National Careers Week. We are full into the publishing section. What we'd love to know from you, as kind of, I think you are one of two very big book publishers talking at this event, HarperCollins. Tell us about you, what you do, and also what is HarperCollins as an entity?
Great. Thank you. Thank you, first of all, so much for having me today. So I am Stephanie and I'm the Senior Talent Acquisition Manager at HarperCollins. So I've been here for 3 years. I was new to the book publishing industry. I came from magazine publishing before and then retail before that. We are the second largest publisher in the world. We have about 1,000 colleagues in the UK, and we have our headquarters in London, and then we also have Glasgow, which has our supply chain too, and a new office which is launching next week, which is super exciting. And then we also have Manchester, Honley, which is in Yorkshire, and Dublin too.
Oh my gosh, so actually all over the UK and obviously global
Yes,
as
we
well.
are.
So lots of
Yeah.
opportunities UK wide for young people, I imagine. So tell us a bit more about the variety of departments and people you have
Mhm.
working in HarperCollins.
And I think this is something that's really exciting because I think a lot of people just think of editorial or they don't actually know what publishing is. So there are so many different areas and departments within HarperCollins. And this is something I'm so passionate about sharing is that we have production that put all of those books together. Think about the font that's going to go on the beginning of the front of the book, or how the book is bound, and all of those things that you just don't think about when you pick up that physical book. Even things like legal and contracts and thinking, okay, how are we going to pay this author and how is it going to work? Tech and analytics and looking about, okay, let's look to see in children's what did really well last year. What can we do this year? So there's so many different areas of publishing that people don't necessarily think of. Then also there's the super huge and big departments like marketing and publicity of, hey, we've got this book, we've got this amazing author, we've got this amazing book that's coming out in a couple of months' time, but how are we going to reach those audiences? So marketing and publicity play a huge part in that too. And then design, there's so many different things. And then obviously all the my part like the people team, finance, yeah, there's lots and lots and lots. And
So
I always feel like whenever I'm, especially in my role recruiting, I find out about so many new roles I didn't know about. So yeah, the options are endless.
amazing. And it does sound like there is definitely something for everyone there. And you've obviously got HarperCollins, but then you'll also have the suppliers that you work with as well, right? So like you were saying, the book binders, that's not in-house, is it? That's kind of an
Mhm.
external. Is that right?
Exactly. And I think that's it's so crucial with all of the roles, I would say, is that we build relationships with people internally, and that's a huge part of our role, but also building external relationships. And that's for so many different roles within HarperCollins. So it could be that you're working in a marketing role and you're reaching out to influencers on TikTok, or um, I'm trying to think what else we could do. With even with HR, you're reaching out to L&D suppliers to find out, okay, let's see what we can teach our employees over the next quarter. So I think that's something with publishing is you're learning so much internally and you're working with so many internal teams, but there's big wide world out there and thinking, okay, how can we bring all of those ideas in-house too?
Amazing. And in your opinion, so obviously you are, I guess you have a good bird's eye view of what's happening across the HarperCollins, the publishers. What do you think is the most underrated area of the business that if you weren't doing what you were doing, that you would be interested in exploring?
Oh, good question. Um, I would think I would have to choose children's as a whole.
Okay.
Um, I'm a new-ish mum, and I think I didn't actually consider the thought that goes into children's books, and they are incredible. They also have to appeal to a child, but also to a parent too, because they are the ones buying the book. And just the images, the design, everything that goes into it is just incredible. And I think what's really great is that it's an area that you don't necessarily have to have publishing experience to move into. You could be coming from, I don't know, children's games or TV or anything that is, I guess that um like client not client facing, but consumer facing, reaching out to children's. And I think there's just so much that goes behind it. And also just trying to be the most accessible department basically to everyone. So making sure that everyone has access to books and children reading. Obviously, I'm sure that lots of people have seen it in the news. It's not as popular as it used to be, which is a huge shame. So making sure it's accessible, putting books into libraries, schools, going out to schools and speaking to them, as well as inviting people into our offices to see what it's like too. So I feel like I love the children's department, and just everything that goes into it and their design and their ideas. And it's really exciting because they're creating something that's not for the person who's actually purchasing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Also, I love the idea of combining, a passion with publishing, which kind
Hmm.
of, I imagine
Hmm.
that everyone gets into publishing because of the love of books, and you just want to spread
Yeah.
that with people. And yeah,
Hmm.
if you are a new mum, then you would be very passionate about kids
Yeah.
to read. So it makes total sense. Um,
Mhm.
what do you think are the biggest misconceptions about the publishing industry as a whole that you would like to
Mhm.
debunk?
I think it's actually just understanding like what it is. So we have and like the whole process, I think, because I think everyone's like, well, how does that book actually get written? And when I speak to my friends, they think maybe people like in-house write the book and they work with an author. But so we get loads and loads of submissions from each different department in each division and each imprint. Um, and there's so many different layers to how a book gets created. I think what I remember when I first joined, I was like, oh God, this is like some areas I'm like, oh, I can't actually connect to this because it's so far from anything I know. But actually, it's like looking at those like core skills and it's like the organization and the prioritization and the relationship building. They are fundamental in every single position. So if you think, oh, I didn't do an English degree or I haven't got an MA in publishing or any of that, that doesn't matter. Like if, as long as you have those core skills, that is what matters. Um, and also the passion in books. And I think when I joined HarperCollins, I was like blown away by all of the managers that I met and all of the like employees about how passionate they are about books and about what they do, and having that script sent to them and thinking, okay, this is like a really good idea. How can we work with this author to make it a book and then it's going to be a bestseller? Like it's incredible. And the passion behind it every single step of the way is not, and I've never seen anything like it. It's amazing.
That is fantastic. And it actually is true in the creative industries in general, isn't it? Like it's such a vocational area to work
Yeah.
in that people are
Hmm.
very passionate about the output.
Hmm.
Um, and okay, so what do you think in terms of skills? Because we have just, you've
Hmm.
just mentioned skills, which is
Yeah.
a very important topic for the people watching. They will want to be
Hmm.
preparing themselves for being able to
Hmm.
get foot in the door of the publishing world.
Hmm.
What are your, I guess, kind of recommendations for skills that people can start honing in on now,
Yeah.
in order to make themselves more, I guess, employable in the long run?
Yeah. I think, I mean, when I'm looking at interview questions and looking at the skills for most roles, and that's for entry level roles all the way up to leadership positions, I'd say like I mean, publishing is a hugely fast-paced business, and like most of media roles are, to be honest. But looking at like relationship building, organization, and like communication, I would say like at the top three. So if you've worked in retail, you're communicating with people all day, every day. You're solving problems. If someone's come back with a return that may not be right, it's like how you're dealing with that. That could be the same as an author coming to you and saying, oh, I'm actually not happy about this review online. What are you going to do about it? So it's like that problem solving, the communication, and building that relationship with people and like that trust. And that can be, you can be doing that at school or in education. It's I feel like those key skills are really important. And then when coming to an interview, it's having examples of when you've done that. And it can be an example at any stage in your life, but just having like those key skills. And I always say to me or any of my friends, when you go to an interview, think of examples for organization, prioritization, relationship building, communication, because those questions will always come up. So making sure you have examples to share with us is always really helpful.
Those are four very good kind of points to, I guess kind of hone in on, and really good action there. Make sure you go prepared with those four things, guys, examples of those
Yeah,
four
they'll
things.
always come up.
They will always, you're so right, they do always come up. Okay, so tell us a bit about HarperCollins helping young people get a foot in the door of the creative industries, training schemes, internship programs, entry level roles in general. What do you guys kind of do on an annual basis to
Mhm.
get more entry level talent?
Sure. So we have entry level roles and they are advertised throughout the year. Um, we have, I'd say on average, maybe about two per month, and that can be in any division or any role. So it could be a marketing assistant, it could be a design assistant, it could be an editorial assistant. So they are very consistent, I would say, throughout the year. Then we have some internships. They're actually mainly with our education part of the business. So Collins, I'm sure you all know the Collins Dictionary. So that is within our with our educational side of the business. And I have to say they've got an amazing team that really develop and support them so well. And with that role, because it's 6 months, they always usually go somewhere else within the business. So that's an incredible point. So usually our internship positions are within Collins. But it's not to say that there aren't others, but I'd say that's the main area. And then we have it changes yearly on how we do it. And I think this is something that we're proud of, is that we don't always use the same scheme. We like to change and we like to look at things and how it works, and then also look at the business needs to see what we can do better next year. So this year we aren't actually running a traineeship, but next year we probably will do something. We're just working on it now to see what that will look like. But I would say our entry level schemes, you don't have to have any prior experience. You don't need to have a degree. You don't have to have anything like that. So I feel like that is the best way in. And also be open. I think a lot of people will be like, okay, I want to work in HarperCollins and I just want editorial. And I think it's really important to be really open-minded in what you go into, because you never know. I feel like editorial, a lot of people know about it, but maybe production, you don't know so much about it. And also, once you're in HarperCollins, we have an amazing internal mobility scheme. So last year we had 40% of our roles were filled internally, which is incredible. So we have so many people, and they could be going from a sales role to marketing, or rights to production. Like, there, you really can move around the business, and I think that's something that's really impressive.
Yeah, definitely. And that just goes to show how much people love working there as well. They don't
Mhm.
want to leave. Um, no, that is amazing. So that is all we've got time for. Thank
Great.
you so much, Stephanie, for joining. Is there anything else that you'd like to say? Any like quick words of advice? Anything you want people to look at on the website?
I think be really open-minded in the roles that are there. Like, always have a look to see what's available. Even last week we were hiring for someone to look after our there's always new roles, there's always new things. And don't be afraid of the publishing industry.
I love that. Good point to end on. Don't be afraid. Thank you so much, Stephanie. It's been fantastic having you here. You have shared so much wisdom. Really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone has learned so much.
Well, thanks so much for having me, and I hope everyone enjoys their week.